We're talking holistic happy hour today. So this is a really interesting concept that news channel came to me talking about this earlier this year, and then it's I've been asked to do it again and again and again on TV, and I created a corporate program out of it actually, because it's so important. It really kind of got me thinking. It's gone way beyond what it originally was like, hey, what can you eat while you're making dinner? And really what I started to understand is that all these people are feeling super out of balance in their life. And so much of what that is that there is no clear delineation energetically and in terms of mentality or focus between work time and downtime.
Right.
And that just a few rituals we can put into place over time as a practice will signal to your brain and your body to, first of all, you can kind of be a short circuit for that amygdala in your brain. I always talk about your central nervous system to get out of protective mode. We don't want to be shooting out more adrenaline and cortisol than we need to protect us from what might happen in the day or to deal with our stressors. And I know this is a big one for you with the chronic, the things you have going on. Like everybody, we all have this albatross thing that everybody seems to have at least one albatross issue that is just this ongoing thing that's going to take a year or two. Things are going to be, it's just a phase in life, but it's the thing. And we have to be able to shut that off and get away from it and get to a time where we are able to give ourselves the same focus and energy we give to our work, or we give to the thing, or we get to, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that's what this holistic happy hour is about. It can really be any time during the day. I talk about those rituals, but here are the ideas I had for this. I thought, wow, people feel super out of balance because we get to the end of the workday and then downtime means numbing time. Right. So most often, so almost everybody in my world, I want to say almost everyone, myself included, you go home, you pour a glass of wine. I do I love my wine, but yes. I pour my tiny Andrea glasses of wine, 4 ounces, and then I see if that's enough, and often it is. But, that's me, and I don't expect the world to be like me. But I grew up in an alcoholic household, so I'm a little sensitive differently. But still, I don't want to go past the point where then I'm not really participating with my kids or my family, my husband, I don't want to be like, I started to realize, wow, because it doesn't take much for me to go past that point where now I'm just kind of like, ooh, I'm calling it relaxed, but really what it is non-participatory in my own life or the lives of the people who really matter to me. It's numb,
Right.
And I, work very hard on running a company, and I spend my days. Oh, this is awesome. This is somebody I know, Kaylee, this is Roy. He was an ABC Dallas viewer. And we're talking holistic happy hour, and we're talking about how even me, with all of the great beneficial habits I have and advise, came to realize, wow, my downtime is numbing time. And that's why I'm never really, I for a couple years there, I was feeling like like you're overwhelmed, still anxious, and not at my best, or not feeling like I have a really balanced life. And I think life balance really is about making sure you can give the same energy and focus to your personal time and to your downtime that you give to your work. And I think when you are able to energetically feel similar in both places, then you have a sense of balance, because there never is balance. There's always more time on work than anything else, because that's the way life is. Right. So here are the strategies. So when you get home, and believe me, I'm still pouring my little glass of wine almost first thing, it's a signal, but part of that is that it's a signal. So what are other signals we can make to your mind to go, okay, I'm in safe harbor, I'm in whatever. And so one is to have 2 or 3 quick snack recipes that you make that help you transition to dinner time, and that one will keep you from overeating at dinner. And I've talked about the afternoon snack, but here it is. Yes, it's just about dinner time. So I guess this would be tacked on to what my dinner portion would be for people who follow that portioning guideline, but it's something nutrition and beneficial, but just the act of making it and taking the time to cut, to slice, to dip, to do whatever, and make it. Don't just have like, so I cut up a piece of zucchini. And so a zucchini is about this long. And so if I'm just making it for me, but my kids steal stuff,
Right.
but if it was just for me, I would take a third of it. So imagine chopping it in thirds, and then you slice the end off, and you actually you just slice the sides off, and then you slice 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes I can get 5 if I slice thin, but I make a cracker out of that. I'm going to have a cracker out of a zucchini instead of crackers, because if I'm going to have grains, I want them to matter. I want pasta. I want pizza. I want, things that, I'm selective, that are going to be soul satisfying, not just something I pop in my mouth and forget about it. I want bang for my buck. But those crackers, then you can put just about anything on that zucchini. So I can do a little hummus and maybe a little tomato. Maybe I do a slice of olive. It's just a couple slices you're doing, or just a couple dolloping, but you're making it on a plate. So you're making something. And the reason you're making something is because it activates your prefrontal cortex in your brain, and it activates your senses, which also activate the prefrontal cortex in your brain. And just by doing that, you're sending out dopamine, happy hormone for achievement. You're activating yourself, which is experience. Anytime you activate your senses, that curiosity, that stuff shuts off the fear and anxiety center in your brain. You cannot be making this thing with presence, paying attention to making it, like how hard it, like, oh, I need a different knife to slice an olive, or a skinned, vegetable, like a serrated knife, not a regular. Oh, otherwise I tear it in half. Oh, well, you know what I mean? But just experiencing whatever is going on, that full attention towards it, that short circuits that fear and anxiety center. And it's also the pleasure of the food that you've made for yourself. So we're shooting out dopamine. You're giving yourself a bit of beneficial food. So there are a bunch of recipes on the AnnLife app like that. And I have more suggestions. So anybody can go to the forum on annlife.com. I will put some more recipe suggestions in there for this holistic happy hour time. But that making of yourself a little snack, it keeps you away from chippy bippies, which are doing nothing for us. We try to only eat at parties and things. And you're giving yourself a nutritional boost that will release dopamine because you're doing something well for yourself. You're activating that prefrontal cortex, that's shutting off that fear and anxiety center. And also that burst of food is going to give you some energy. Now, the other thing you want to do is, in my Shape Up program, for people who've done that, there's this life list. And on it, there's at the bottom of it, I ask people to write things that you want to know more about, and skills, you have, but you want to get better at skills, and so this is a time to know what you're going to do. So for each day in the week, and it can be the same thing every day, but just give yourself 15 minutes of time. And this could be after dinner, this could be whenever, but where you're going to do something that's going to be expansive, mentally expansive. And so for me, I bought this app, Simply Piano, and I give myself a few minutes every day to do one of these dumb little lessons. But again,
it's
activating a part of your brain, and like, I'm expanding. I have something to talk about.
right.
This is where also I'm going. That on that list as well is, or a piece of advice I've given as well, is to have things you want to know more about. So rather than scrolling Instagram, definitely stop at my Instagram page, but rather than doing that, pick up your phone, you scroll maybe once a day, check in once a day, and then the rest of the time, go research something that just honestly interests you. Or if there's a news story that, like, I look at maps all the time. I'm like, where exactly is that? I like to contextualize where things are. When I was a kid, I was great at geography, and somehow now, I don't know why, at almost 50, I have no sense of where anything is, but just that. But anything stimulating, anything that adds to your knowledge that you could share with somebody else, because when we share knowledge, that sends out serotonin. That's a connection with others. So anything you can do, just give yourself that 15 minutes of time where you're going to learn something that you could add to a conversation, because having more to add to conversations connects us to other people. And in this time of extreme disconnection, that's really good. Just sitting here, me seeing your face, you see my face. It's like, we don't know each other super well. We sort of do, but it's like, it's a connection and it feels good, doesn't it? It's like,
yes.
That's why, you know what I mean? Like,
yes,
and the more we have of this in our life, that Fitter Together group is awesome. People just support, it just feels good to connect and to have things to offer, little things. It's not like taking over something, but so definitely doing that. There are little cocktails you can make with ginger tea. So ginger, people buy ginger is gut healing. And first of all, your gut really determines your overall health. And so this is one of my last tips for this holistic happy hour time. So getting ginger into your diet any way you can is one of the best ways you can heal your gut. Matcha tea, I've talked about that too. We'll do the same thing. It's a little stimulating for some people. So that might be an earlier in the day. I have it late afternoon. And it's like a pain to make. I think you've heard me, Roy, talk about matcha.
Yes.
It requires you to go slow, and I'm such a that it forces me to calm down. So matcha is great for me on the right day. But ginger. Okay, so ginger is like this potchki to make because you've seen it. It's nubby and it looks weird, and I've never bought it until I realized I could do this because I do not have the patience to
slice it thin.
Yeah, slice it thin or peel it, like the peeling of it. It's how do you
use a carrot peeler?
I know, but guess what? It has not worked out well for me. I don't know why. And it's a patience issue. Believe me, I'm working on it. But this is why I love
mandolin.
I do have a mandolin. So, but you still have to peel it. So yes. The best thing about ginger, and I started making this Asian salad, and that recipe is in the app, and that's amazing, the Asian salad recipe, because it takes 2 seconds and it seems like you got it from a restaurant, but it uses fresh ginger. Yeah. And I like it because now that I make this tea, when you get ginger, you can just really roughly square off the edges. So then you can shave it to use in your Asian salad or whatever you're making. But you take all those skins that were really rough chopped, throw them in water and fill up the pot all the way. The more ginger, the more, and I make tea out of it. It takes about 25 minutes to brew. And then you keep that in a refrigerator cold. That ginger tea I use for a mocktail during that, because, I'm always trying to I don't want to have too much wine. It also just, I'm older and your liver produces fewer enzymes to be able to handle these things. And I notice I'm like puffy. I'm I'm not, in the morning, I promise, it's like, I'm very sensitive. Hi, Gwen, how are you? We're almost wrapping this up, but I'll just chit chat longer about this. So you'll go back, Gwen, join the forum on andlife.com, because this pretty fast goes to the forum. It gets put up in the forum and you'll hear the other things you missed, but we're talking about ginger tea right now. So just to quickly recap, just rough chop off the edges. You'll get the fresh ginger that you can grate and use in a recipe, or you can just rough chop ginger, throw it in a pot, the skin and all. You've cleaned it first, of course, but you boil that. That ginger tea goes into your refrigerator, and now you have fresh ginger tea that you could use monk fruit syrup or stevia to sweeten if you just wanted it plain. Those will not affect your insulin levels. And but we're also eating a snack that I mentioned before. So, it's really about those glucose levels of foods. It's a little misguided, because the glycemic index is an index of an individual food, and rarely are you a completely empty stomach and just eating that food. And then also with glycemic index, for a banana example, it's different for everybody how that sugar is going to go into your body, and it's different for you on different days. Even in an individual, it differs on different days. So just throw that out and know that you're combining things, you're fine. We don't need to pay attention to that quite like people thought. So anyway, we're making a ginger tea. It's excellent if you, I do half a cup of your glass, whatever, none of this needs to be exact. You do it to taste. Ginger tea, I will squeeze an entire lime and then a little splash of some sort of bubbly water. And then if you've opened a small bottle of that, then you can have the rest of that later. So this is like keeping you from, for people, a lot of moms have 2 big glasses of wine a night. Like, I want to tell you, almost everybody I know, like, and I don't, because I'm me, but like, or I try really hard not to, but it's like, well, they're certainly not. I just can't. But you have to have alternatives. You can't white knuckle your way through life. You have to have different things to help you through. And so these different cocktails I make out of ginger tea are amazing. I've done pomegranate juice. I've done cherry juice, amazing with the ginger tea. Just try.
Vodka works well too.
Yeah.
Vodka.
Yeah. Yes. So like, it's just really fun to do that. And I want to remind everybody that the juice of 1 lime has like almost all the vitamin C you need in a day. It's like, like, remember the pirates used to take some lemons and limes so they wouldn't get scurvy. It really does help you. And I also remind people that this is a burst for your skin. So for anybody who's like really trying to, have avoid wrinkles and we're all getting older. It's the vitamin C and antioxidants that build up your skin, not these collagen powders that are. Just because it's collagen in your skin, eating collagen doesn't equate to. It's like, oh my God, this kind of stuff makes me nuts.
Yeah, but the advertisers have convinced you that eating collagen powder will help you.
What? It is a myth, because it breaks down into an amino acid like any other protein. Your body can't go, well, that's certain kind of amino. It's just an amino acid. Any increase in protein will have that effect. Plus, the antioxidant building blocks. We digress. But the point is, no, we don't digress. Holistic happy hour is setting yourself up with these simple rituals to know you're doing something for yourself that signal self-care, signal safe harbor, and tell your brain, okay, I'm shutting off, and that are energizing. So that little, burst of vitamin C is actually energizing to your body. These foods I'm talking about contain B vitamins and iron. They, like pumpkin seeds, if you want to get those in, things like that. If you do anything with spinach in your dinner or something like that, energizing, they help you transform your meal to energy. These things will help us. And if you know it, it works even better. Your mind is so powerful. So just by knowing you're doing something great for yourself, that shuts off the anxiety center. All of this is about helping our brain shut off and helping to transition. So to recap, our things are that healthful snack. I'll put some options in the forum, Gwen, and paired up as somebody I know named Kaylee. I'll put those in the forum for everybody. We have a mocktail alternative. I like to use the ginger tea base. You can use just about anything, a plain tea base, like a mint tea base as well, something, but fool around with that and experiment. And just the experimenting of different cocktails, or just making yourself your quick snack that is not chips, activates your senses. Remember, sight, taste, smell, the sound of cutting, the feel of cutting, the texture, that shifts your brain and shuts off your fear and anxiety center and helps to activate you to a curious place for the rest of your evening. And then remember that list we talked about what are some things you want to know a little more about. And so that you take some time, instead of scrolling, to look something up. Either it could have been a subject that came up during the day, you just want to know a little more, but think about the idea that you could add it to a conversation at some point, which will help you connect with somebody. And the more little tidbits we have to add to a conversation, the more connection we'll have. So if you've learned 5 new things every week during the work week in 5 minutes instead of scrolling, how great is that? And then the last thing was a little activity you want to know more about. Know what you're going to do that night. Make sure you plan something that night. It might be that you're just going to give yourself 15 minutes to read a book. I'm Gwen right now doing this simply piano. I'm teaching myself to play piano. I'm so bad, it's not even funny. But it's like, it's just giving me something that has nothing to do with my work, nothing to do with anything. And I love it. So try to find something, some skill or something you're already a little good about. I understand music, but I don't know how to play piano. So like, that's what I'm saying. Like if it's recipes, if it's, I don't know, crafting, if it's whatever it is, gardening, go plant something at night. It doesn't have to be a day activity.
Bob
Okay.
Dylan tonight.
What are you doing?
Bob Dylan.
Are you?
Yes, he's in
You're
town
going?
tonight.
Oh my God, that's amazing. That was the first concert I ever saw, believe it or not.
Oh,
That
his
was a long
voice is
time
much
ago.
better now.
Has he improved? Because boy, it was rough. And this
Yeah.
was a long
No, and
time
he's
ago.
not smoking anymore. He's not drinking. So his voice is actually clearer now than it was up for the last 40 years.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Oh, well, you know, people really don't understand that like smoking is just so bad on so many levels. Like, I know. I was literally like, oh my God, like sometimes you couldn't understand a word he was saying, and you couldn't, it was
But
all
you
like,
can, if you get a chance, go see him now because he's clear. He
that's
speaks the words
amazing.
clearly. Yes.
This is in Dallas.
This is in Dallas. Yeah.
All right. Well, good for you. I hope you have a great night. So funny. I was talking with somebody about this last week because one of my friends is that I did the pandemic with. He's a neighbor, like legit rock star. You know, he travels in this band called The Offspring, and he's about to go back. He was at my house last week. He was in LA doing a show, and then he's about going. And we were talking about how live music. He was doing a small show for a group with a side band he has. You know, all these big musicians have these little side bands. And yeah, so he's doing this side band called Petty Cash, and they only play Tom Petty and Johnny Cash songs, and they're amazing. I've seen them play in LA twice. But it's I was talking about the power of seeing live music. That have you ever got, sometimes it feels like, oh, I'm not going to bother. Get the tickets. Have you ever gone to see live music and not left like so, oh, gosh,
and happy?
Yes, because music like hits you to the core, and the energy of that music and vibration, literally physically vibration going through you. So I'm so happy to hear you with everything you have going on. You're making such great choices to like help yourself and set yourself up, Roy. You're doing so much right. And yeah, so I'm really glad to hear that. All right, guys. So we went a little over. I was promising people I'm trying to keep these to 15 minutes, but up to them if they keep watching. So, okay. I didn't get to the little stretch we were going to do, but on the AnLife app, or even better, AnLife Connect, that platform on anlife.com, the Connect video library has all sorts of short, energizing stretches. That's another way you can transition quickly and easily. A lot of them are just sitting in a chair or standing at your counter. They're 2 minutes to 5 minutes long, and that can work wonders to help you shift. So go check that out. I think it's like 7 days free, and it's really cheap. Like I make all my stuff to really just try to be, try to get it out to the most people possible and try to help the most people possible. So that's what it's about. Wonderful. All right. So I hope we'll see you on the forum, you guys. Thank you so much for joining today. And we